Hello everyone, welcome to the latest installment of the Westside Wines and Spirits Virtual Wine School. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Rob. Today's class is going to focus in on the wine region of Rioja from north central Spain. Rioja is definitely an exciting area for wine production, definitely one of my favorite areas for both white and red wines. Definitely a unique place and terrain that really expresses some of these indigenous grape varieties in a place like no other in the world. So definitely excited to kind of fill you guys in and touch on some quick topics about Rioja, have you guys try these wines here that we have here today for your kind of homework pack and see what you think. We're going to be mainly focusing in, at least for these wines, today on the grape variety Tempranillo, which kind of reigns king in Rioja. So we'll get there when we do. But let's kind of kick off first. Kind of talk about some of the geography and layout of the land in Rioja. So we're in again north central Spain, about a 2-hour drive just north of Madrid. Rioja is about 60 miles in length, and there's a couple important kind of geological formations that really kind of contribute to kind of forming this microclimate of an area in Rioja, one of which is the River Ebro, which kind of runs north to south and cuts two of the kind of primary subregions, which I want to touch base on quickly. Rioja Alta, which is south of the River Ebro, and Rioja Alavesa, which is north of the river, and then nestled up right against the Sierra de Cantabria mountain range to the north in Rioja Alavesa. So again, the river kind of cutting through those two primary zones, and then there's another third subregion which we won't really discuss today called Rioja Baja, kind of an area a little bit more associated with producing kind of more bulky jug wines, a lot hotter, a lot drier, a lot more arid. They grow a lot of Garnacha down there too, so really using some of those varieties to blend a little bit more in certain Rioja bottlings. So we'll really kind of focus in on Alavesa and Alta. Again, with the Sierra de Cantabria mountain range, we kind of have the kind of primary kind of formation of some of these soil types kind of over time, kind of going down and kind of seeping into these riverbanks and riverbeds. So kind of in Alavesa, you get a little more higher elevation, kind of slopey kind of plantings where they're a little more rich in limestone, where kind of going down towards Alavesa, more towards the riverbed of the River Ebro, you're getting these kind of more rocky alluvial soils, which again, depending upon where these vines are grown in each respective place, you're going to kind of get a different representation of an expression of Tempranillo and some of these other grape varieties within each place. So it can really kind of determine which style you may or may not like, which area, that kind of thing. And again, one more kind of important climactic influence to take note of is the kind of currents and winds that are coming from up from the Mediterranean. You kind of get this dry air coming up from the Mediterranean, and then from the Atlantic coast you're getting this kind of moisture. So those kind of things are kind of coming together and creating this microclimate, and again the mountain range, the Sierra de Cantabria, helping in this balanced grape growing cycle with cool nights, protecting it from really getting overly hot, which Rioja can be at times. So you're getting the kind of cooling nighttime temps to help the acidity, and then the really hot days to ripen the fruit. So again, a really unique area for these varieties, especially Tempranillo, to grow. Again, I don't think Tempranillo can grow anywhere like it does in Rioja. So to touch base on some of the other grape varieties from Rioja, indigenous native varieties from a red standpoint, as I mentioned before, you have the Garnacha, which I heard a quote once: if Tempranillo is Cabernet in Spain, then Garnacha is Merlot. So really the idea to kind of complement or beef up the blend, rounded out, that kind of thing. And then you have two other indigenous varieties usually used in small blending percentages with Tempranillo, Graciano and Masuelo. Graciano, added to kind of enhance color, aroma, acidity, where Masuelo can really help kind of enhance texture and tannin with the Tempranillo. So both very important. Graciano sometimes in really exceptional vintages you can see bottled 100%, which is really cool. So be on the lookout for that. We have one from the producer Balserano, which is one of the producers we have here today from a crianza standpoint. And from a white standpoint, you have Villora, Garnacha Blanca, and Malvasia. Of the three, I really think Villora is a very kind of exciting variety. When it's young, you can kind of see it expressed lively, kind of floral, fruity, almost like apricot-y style white wine. But when some of the producers use Villora to age a white wine and maybe barrel fermentation, these small kind of barrique barrels, they hold the wine back a little bit more. They're aging it 5-10 years. You kind of see a Villora take on the whole new flavor profile with kind of rich, honey, kind of almost slightly oxidized style of white, which again isn't for everyone, but if you're into that thing, it's definitely kind of something to explore and maybe try some of the barrel-aged Villoras. So kind of to get to some of the wines right now and talk about some of the kind of labeling designations, which are very important in Rioja. For reds, you have Crianza, Reserva, and then Gran Reserva, and basically they get their designation or classification depending upon how long they stay in oak barrel and in bottle before release. So kind of the law or requirements for Crianza, the first wine, Balserano we have here. Crianza must spend at least 1 year in oak barrel and 1 year in bottle before release. The Reservas spend at least 1 year in oak and 2 years in bottle before release. And then the Gran Reserva, which sees the most age, minimum 2 years in bottle and 2 years in oak and 3 to 5 in barrel. So again, I think kind of the idea, Crianza, kind of the more light, fruit-forward style, kind of the weeknight wine. Reserva, maybe the more weekend wine, maybe something to complement kind of a richer kind of lamb or beef dish. Again, I think Tempranillo is an extremely food-friendly variety, so even some certain seafood dishes, paella. We love Spanish reds with paella, especially Tempranillo. Talk about cheese, manchego, kind of a no-brainer with some of these Tempranillos. So again, kind of stepping up to a more serious level with that aging. And then the Gran Reserva could be almost kind of the special occasion wine, the anniversary, birthday, something to take out of the cellar. I think the Reservas and Gran Reservas are definitely kind of wines to consider when putting in the cellar. Some of these bottles can go easily 5, 10, 15 years, depending upon the producer, the vintage, that kind of thing. Tempranillo, again, really an age-worthy variety. So to talk about the producers I have here a little bit more in depth, Balserano, and again, to kind of get on the subject of, a hot topic is kind of the kind of traditional versus more modern producers within Rioja. The more old school kind of traditionalist producers using more American oak, maybe blending from a few of the different subregions, whether it be Alta or Alavesa or Baja. So kind of translating to a little bit more rustic flavor profile. You kind of get those more earthy, kind of leathery, mushroomy flavors. Where the more modern producers are going a little heavier on the French oak. They're kind of crafting a wine for maybe that American California Cabernet drinker, very lush, very polished, smooth, ripe fruit, extracted, that kind of thing. So depending upon what camp you're in, there's really a style for both palates. So I like Balserano a lot, especially at the Crianza level. They use both American and French oak, so you kind of get this nice balance of structure and tannin, but some nice kind of red cherry fruit, that kind of thing. These guys are in Rioja Alavesa, again, north of the River Ebro. And then we go to the two Reserva and Gran Reserva wines here, which I think are kind of more in the more traditionalist camp. This wine right here from La Rioja Alta, these guys have really kind of found a major presence in our Spanish section as of late. Definitely considered widely to be one of the most established, highly regarded producers from Rioja Alta, taking on that name as well. This is the Viña Ardanza 2005, really hot vintage, both literally and figuratively. It was a hot year, but the vintage is one of the most highly regarded in the past 10 or 15 years. Again, La Rioja Alta, super traditionalist producer. The wines are very elegant, very beautiful, aromatic, and just a lot of character and depth. And then another kind of go-to producer of ours from Rioja, Serra Añón. These guys are also in Rioja Alavesa. Again, the Gran Reserva 2006. Maybe a little bit more of a sleeper vintage, but again, this wine retails right around $30. I think it's a steal for a Gran Reserva Rioja. Really cool stuff from a little importer called Bodega Santare. So yeah, try some of these producers out. We're going to have these wines in our Classroom 3-pack at the front of the store. Do your homework. Let me know what you think, and until next time, cheers. Thanks, guys. Bye.